Welcome, friends. We are starting our Chapter 11 discussion of data analysis and statistics. Today, in Lesson 11.1, we are going to describe data sets using statistics. So what are statistics exactly? Well, they are numerical values used to summarize and compare sets of data. And there's two broad categories that we look at. One is a measure of central tendency, and the other are measures of dispersion. A measure of central tendency is a number used to represent the center or middle of a set of data, kind of what was, some sort of typical or average value. A measure of dispersion is a number that tells you how dispersed or spread out the data values are. Now, measures of central tendency probably will seem somewhat familiar with you, some more than others. One is the mode. The next is the median, and then finally the mean. Now, the mode is the value that occurs most frequently in a data set. It just lets you know what happens most often. So if we look at this data set here, we can see that the values 7, 3, and 4 each occur one time. The value 2 occurs, twice. And the value 6 occurs 3 times. Because 6 occurs the most, the mode is 6. Now, sometimes you'll have a data set like this one where every value occurs with the same frequency. In this case, each value occurs one time, so there's no mode for this data. Now, the median is the central value of an ordered distribution. The median is the middle, so you make sure that your values are written from least to greatest, or smallest to largest, and then you find the middle value. Now, when you have an odd number of values, when you count into the middle, you're actually going to land on one of the values of the data set. That's great. That's your median. But if you have an even number of values, then when you count into the middle, you're going to find that you land on 2 values. And so what you do is you just take the average of those 2 values. Okay, so for this data set, 5, 2, 7, 1, 4, 3, 2. The first thing we need to do is order the data least to greatest. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 values. So we should be able to count in to find the middle value. So you just start from the outside. Okay, there's my outermost. And I count in, and 3 is right there in the middle. So the median is 3. All right, so here we have an even number of values, so we have 6 values, so we're going to put them in order from least to greatest. So once we do that, if we count in, we find that we land on 31 and 43, so that means we need to add them together and divide by 2. Okay, so 31 plus 43 divided by 2 is 37, so the median for this set of data is 37, even though 37 is not a value of that distribution. Okay, anytime you have an even number of values, you run that risk. Well, what if you have a really large data set? What if we had 99 values? Well, you would still need an ordered list, and then you would need to count into the middle value, and the way you can find where that's going to be is you do n plus 1 over 2. So if I had 99 values, I would do 99 plus 1 is 100, divided by 2 is 50, and then I would count into my 50th term. Okay, finally we get to the mean, and the mean is what you usually think of when you're asked for an average value. It is sometimes called the arithmetic mean. That's where we add everything together and we divide by the number of entries. So you take each observation you have, you add them up, and then you divide by how many observations you have. So if we were to find the mean of this data set, we're going to add up all the values. So we do the 6 plus 7 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 2 plus 8. So you get 37. We divide by 8, and it's equal to 4.625. Frequently, we follow the rule that the mean can be 1 more degree accurate than the actual observations, and so we would round to 4.6. Okay, now one thing that you need to know is sigma notation, and so we're actually going to use uppercase sigma and lowercase sigma, capital and lowercase sigmas, to mean 2 different things. So this is uppercase sigma, and it means sum the following. You also need to know that we typically let our sample size, the number of entries, be represented by the value n. So our sample mean, which has the symbol x bar, that's what we call this little x with a bar over it, x bar, our sample mean, equals the sum of all the x values, so that means you take each observation and you add them all up, divided by n. Okay, let's move on to measures of dispersion or variation. One gives you kind of a view of overall how much variation there is, the range, and then standard deviation gives you an idea of the average variation, the average distance from the mean. So the range just tells us the difference between the largest and smallest values of a distribution. And so if I have a distribution of 10, 13, 17, 17, and 18, I just identify 18 as the largest value, 10 is the smallest, 18 minus 10 is equal to 8. The standard deviation is the average variation of the data entries. So to calculate the standard deviation, the way it works, you're going to take the sum, here's uppercase sigma, okay, that means add the following, the sum of the difference of each x value and the mean squared, okay, so you're going to square those differences, you're going to add them all up, divided by n, and then you're going to take the square root of the whole thing, and that equals the standard deviation, which is represented by lowercase sigma, so uppercase sigma, lowercase sigma. So the x bar is the mean of the sample and n is the sample size. Now, you can do this by hand, but it is my strong recommendation that you learn how to use your calculator and do one variable statistics. And we will go through this in next class whenever we do the problems to try on your own, or whenever we review them. If you want, you're welcome to come in and get help before next class. But the way you're going to do this is you're going to open a document in your calculator and you're going to add a list and spreadsheet page. Okay, and that's going to give you a spreadsheet, and you're going to enter the data in a list, and you can just name it values. Up at the top where the A is, you're going to write values, and then there is a function box that we leave blank, and then where it says 1, you'll start listing your data values. Once you have your data entered, you're going to go to Menus, Statistics, and then you're going to select Stat Calculations and then one variable statistics. You're going to click OK for the number of lists. It's going to be 1. We're just looking at one list of data. Click OK for the next screen, and then when you scroll down, you'll see it gives you X bar, which is the mean. It's going to give you some other things. It's going to give you baby sigma, lowercase sigma, which is the standard deviation, and if you keep on going down, it's going to give you the median. It doesn't give you the mode, and it doesn't give you the range. It does give you the maximum value and minimum value, and that is going to be what you need to find the range. Okay, so if you want, you can go ahead and you can grab your calculator and go through that process with the numbers 30, 26, 22. And if you find the standard deviation for that, it's going to be about 3.27. Okay, so like I said, you're welcome to run in and let me show you, if you need me to show you by hand how to do everything on the calculator, that's fine, or you can wait and we'll go over it at the beginning of class, next class meeting, and you'll see how to enter everything into your calculator. Okay, thank you guys. Have a great day.